Hey everyone, I couldn't find a good spot in the house today, so I'm doing a quick car video. But I want to talk about ticks really quickly. They are prevalent mostly in the spring and the fall, but you'll see them during the summer too. And it's just really important to do everything you can to keep them off of you, because tick bites can spread a lot of different illnesses. Lyme's disease is probably the one that you've heard of that's most common, but it really depends on your region. There are different diseases based on your location as to what is most prevalent. So I'm just going to share a few tips. Number one is you can keep them off of you by wearing clothing, so long sleeves, long pants, and such, if you can tolerate it. And I know in the summer that's not really reasonable all the time, but if you can, wear long pants and tuck your pants into your socks to keep that space covered as well. That definitely helps. Also recommended to wear light colored clothing, because then you can see them more. Check your clothes as soon as you're done outside. One tip that I read is using a lint roller, so you can just roll the lint roller over your clothes, and a lot of times that can pick up some things, especially if you're wearing dark clothing and you may not see them. And then just being really diligent about doing your tick checks. That's something we do just consistently here. Be in the habit of anytime you're outside and you come inside, just check everywhere for ticks. Especially kind of like, so they kind of go in more like creased areas, or like behind the knees, that type of thing. But really just check everywhere you can. And then another thing is, like, a lot of mosquito repellents are also tick repellents, or you can kind of get a 2-for-1 if you are using those. But one thing you can do too is permethrin treated clothes. I don't have any of those. I've never done that. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest, but some of you may prefer to do that. But what I am going to do is use permethrin spray on shoes, because it's not touching my skin, and I would definitely spray it outside and try not to inhale that. But there is some good information that permethrin sprayed on your shoes can decrease your chances of picking up ticks. Another thing, as I just thought of, ticks, they're really creepy little creatures. They can sense movement, like vibrations of people or animals coming, breath, and sometimes even shadows, I've heard. And if you've never seen a tick in what they call a questing position, you can look it up, or I'll post like a creepy picture probably here. But basically they hang on to like a blade of grass, for example, with like their back legs, and then they reach out with their tiny little front ones, and they don't jump, but they are like ready to pounce when you walk by, and it's really gross. So anyway, when I saw that, I was super creeped out. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was this, which is called a tick twister. And it's like one of my favorite tools to have around the house. We've used it a lot with dogs, but I've also used it on people if we do find a tick attached. I've used it on myself. So the recommendation is usually to use like a tweezers and pull the tick out without like bending it or twisting it or anything. But what I've found is that when I try to do that, I often will lose part of the tick, like the head or the mouth pieces. And what I've found with the tick twister is that I have used it many times, and I always get the full tick out. So I've never lost a piece, and so I'm a believer in this thing. You can check your local pharmacy. I know our pharmacy has it. If you want to get that, it comes actually in a 2-pack. I gave one of these to a friend. They have like a bigger and a smaller one in the pack. But basically you just hook the tick under the head, and then you just twist gently, and it comes right out. And then I'll usually use a piece of tape and put the tick in a piece of tape, and then fold it over so it's in there, and then like seal up the sides, and then I'll just throw it in the garbage. And that's been working really well for me, rather than like burning the tick and some other things that you may have heard. So I hope that's helpful. Just a few quick tips about ticks. All right, thanks guys.